You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast.
Lots of ping pong balls. I had an idea where we write down a crossover on a ping pong ball, put it in a box, and then we randomly pick one out and do an episode about it. And I thought, what if we do a podcast episode about a crossover?
And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
The bushes. What are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing, but it's a mess already. Welcome to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
Seth.
And one of the many things we lost out on doing in the past year was our favorite. It could have been our favorite. We didn't do it enough to be our favorite, but it died out as soon as we started doing it. The Crossroads episodes where we dive deep into pop culture crossovers between existing properties that we love, be it a comic book, a movie, a TV show. Anytime two existing properties crossed over, we were going to cover it. We wrote a bunch down on ping pong balls. We picked them out at random, and then we stopped.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem was we started white hot. Like,
right.
You know, we had that $6 million man Bigfoot fiasco. Then we did the Ninja Turtles, all the versions of it in that movie. And it was like, how are we going to top this? And then we pulled that next ping pong ball out, and it was like Charles Barkley versus Godzilla. And I don't think anybody was, number one, overly.
I bought the comic.
Well, you bought the comic, but you were the only one that had it, so we couldn't all.
Right after that.
Yeah, we couldn't all do it from home. So
that'd be a weird way to catch COVID.
Yeah.
Off a copy of the Barkley versus Godzilla.
So
Right.
for the safety of us and our loved ones, we defied the ping pong balls. We looked fate square in the balls, and we said, no, we're not doing it. So we picked again, and I think we picked a winner. I think fate shined on us. For the return of the Crossroads, we got a good one. We have what I think I would say the single most ambitious and important drug education program ever attempted anywhere.
it's like,
Just off the top of my head, that's what I would say.
You know who else would say that? Senator Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
Those are his exact words in 1990.
no truer words have ever.
No
been
looking
spoken.
back. He can't take it back now. This was it. Save those people from this gateway drug.
So we are doing Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue from 1990. This was an anti-drug PSA, like we said. The good Senator Biden was psyched for it. He thought this was going to do some good stuff. A little background: it was financed by McDonald's and the Ronald McDonald Children's Charities,
Which is beyond reproach.
Sure.
You cannot criticize them.
The clown
Figuring out a
does
way
good
to
work.
sell French fries.
Right. So all the characters were licensed for free. So none of the companies got money for it. And it is the first scripted program simulcast on all four networks. So it aired at the same time on NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox, and a bunch of cable channels. On April 21st, 1990, it went on to be shown in a whole bunch of foreign countries. It was screened in Canada, Australia, Japan, the UK, Italy, Spain, Mexico, Germany, Poland, Israel, Russia, Brazil, Portugal, Chile.
Insert the Four Seasons Landscaping Giuliani, all the networks.
So this was a big deal. All right. Then later, a VHS home edition came out, and that is where we got the intro from President George H.W. Bush, his wife Barbara, and their dog Millie.
Their captive dog that held down on her lap.
That poor dog. So it was never reissued after that. So it was never on DVD. I don't believe it's streaming anywhere, but you can find it on YouTube. So if you want to watch before you listen to us talk about it, we'll put a link to the YouTube video below, and it's just a half hour, and I'll say it's worth it. You want to know what we're talking about, because
it's short enough that it's worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you probably won't believe what we're about to tell you.
Yeah, it honestly might be interesting to listen to what we say before and be like, "There's no way that didn't happen." When we get to Alf breaking down the Berlin Wall, you'll be like, "What exactly are you talking about?" So it starts out with that, and then we get a fade into the home. What you got?
It actually starts with an FBI copyright warning.
Oh, true, yes.
So whoever uploaded it to YouTube is breaking laws right off the bat.
Immediately.
So how is this anti-drug message going to hit when he's already a scofflaw?
Yeah, there's worse things than copying a video, like drugs. So we go into this freaking mansion that apparently everyone circa 1990 lived in. The decadent 80s. We all had every toy, and
that's important because drugs can strike anywhere, not just the poors.
Yeah.
The normals can have drugs too.
We get the girl Corey is in her
Reagan
bed.
voters can do drugs too.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's in her bed sleeping with Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Her stuffed animal.
Immediately, I'm like, going into this, I'm like, okay, it's got a bunch of Saturday morning cartoon characters in it. Why is Kermit the Muppet Baby a clock? That's just immediately. That's the first thing we see. I'm like, why is Kermit a clock? Okay, that's weird. Then we go to the bed. She's in bed. She's got Pooh Bear. He doesn't have pants on. It's a little girl. It's weird. I'm like, didn't this strike out at anybody that Pooh doesn't have pants on? But keep going.
Well, I see here's where I thought Cliff was going to freak out and do a 20-minute YouTube video conspiracy theory about how Toy Story ripped off this.
Don't think I didn't notice that.
Much like Star Wars ripped off the $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
We've got another scandal brewing that this is the plot of Toy Story.
Find somebody's email them about it.
If Andy was if Andy had been token up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw a Mountain Dew can in Andy's room, a little dent in it. He was making his homemade pot smoker. Okay, so someone reaches into her room while she's sleeping. She hadn't woke up yet. Her Kermie hasn't went off yet.
Mm-hmm.
And steals her piggy bank, her actual piggy bank. And down on the floor, we get what I guess is a Smurfs comic book.
Why did they live in a book? They're the Smurfs. Since when do they live in a book?
There's all sorts of different ways to get into this infomercial or whatever it is.
We live in a Smurfing book. Get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The alarm goes off in Smurfville or whatever they call it. And Papa Smurf comes out in his full body. He's got his red long johns on, matches cap.
Morning already? I was smurfing like a baby. Great Smurfs! Corey's piggy bank is gone.
It's like I was smurfing like a baby. It's like screaming about Smurfette. That tease. I got blue balls. So he's like, tell everybody, hey, what's going on? Somebody stole the freaking piggy bank. I could see it from down here in this comic book. So they ring the bell, and everybody comes tearing ass out of the book, coming into her room. All Smurfs everywhere. They get a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
They start. Alf is framed on the dresser in his Magna PI Hawaiian shirt.
Why does he have a framed picture of Alf? That was so weird to me.
It was 1990, man.
His show had been canceled. He was clinging to this cartoon.
If I wasn't spending all my money on drugs, I would have.
And then he pops out onto the top of her vanity or whatever, and
Huh?
You want to help track down the thief, Garfield?
Hey, going through life with a blue lampshade is work enough. Wake me when the lasagna comes.
Garfield's laying there asleep with a lamp up his ass. Like that. I think he even comments on it at one point, like, he does not like this lamp up his ass. And Alf's like wanting him to, he's like, let's go. We got to go solve this case. And he's like, yeah, I don't think so. He's like, you know what Alf says. You know?
Yeah. He says, you're going to do it or I'm going to eat you.
So a perfect team up.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. Do you want to help or do you want to be lunch?
My luck to be stuck on a dresser with a pushy alien.
They climb down the drawers and go out. There's
get
records. There's LPs. People are still listening to LPs. Here come the Alvin and the Chipmunks.
From the record cover. But there's Alvin's watching TV in the record cover.
Yeah. Which, by the way, back to our comic episode, he's got an A on his shirt.
Yeah.
So he knows who he is. Animal Man. They got a trampoline. The Smurfs do. They're trampolining up onto each other. Pooh wakes up. The girl's still asleep.
Oh my goodness. I'm not late for breakfast, am I?
Oh, Pooh, it's perfectly obvious we're trying to wake Corey up, but we're not trying hard enough. Come on down there. You're not pushing.
Think. Perhaps if we wake up Kermit will wake up Corey. Jeez, I hate when that happens.
Why did I set the alarm on a Saturday?
He drags his bare ass over her face and crawls off the bed to talk to the Smurfs. It's ridiculous. Brainy Smurf's there. He's like, hey, you're never going to believe this. Somebody stole the freaking piggy bank. So, Brainy, I guess it is, catapults up onto the bed. It's a lot of ridiculous. So Pooh sticks his finger up Kermit's butt and wakes his ass up. And I can't hear anything they're saying. I can't remember it. But it's pretty neat to just describe what's happening. She wakes up. Of course, they're all still again. I figured that out. Then Kermit and Pooh are just like, and then Slimer comes out of the wall because apparently he haunts this house.
Yes.
He's lived a life. You know he did drugs. He reaches down, eats a cornucopia that happens to be there.
And it doesn't like fall through him because he's a ghost, like it did on the movie. He just eats it. Okay.
And why is there a cornucopia there?
Yeah.
He eats it and shines a spotlight across the room where the bank was.
Yeah.
Then they all sneak out of the room. Yeah, we got the Chipmunks and Alf and Garfield. They're going to Michael's room, I assume. Michael, have we discussed that her brother is Michael, who just happened to be a coincidence that the druggy, messed up guy is Michael. And he's got her freaking piggy bank out. He's shaking all the money out of it. I think Alf says something like, Wally never did this to the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alf has several pop culture references.
Because he's a big TV guy. I always related to Alf. He's a good TV guy.
Well, there's somebody says there must be $20 in here, and they're all nickels.
Yeah.
And I was like,
how do you buy drugs with that?
Yeah.
Is there a vending machine?
Who's taking nickels?
They're doing crack at the arcade, so they must be used to coins.
Yeah.
He takes his drug box when Corey comes to the room, and he puts it under his bed where the Chipmunks are hiding, and they open it up, and I swear to God, inside it, I will list now. I'm looking at it. There's like 4 joints in brown paper, I guess. There's a matchbook, a couple matches sticking out, some rolling papers, a bale of hay, and the Ocarina of Time from Zelda. That is exactly what is in there. So
And Simon recognizes it instantly.
Oh,
immediately.
yeah. he knows right away. He's like, I smell some dank skunk.
Yeah.
I
That
gotta
is
say,
marijuana.
Even all these years later, it was weird to hear a cartoon character say the word marijuana.
It was.
Oh, that's
like, I think that's marijuana. It's like, wow, that's not a thing I've ever heard before.
That's when Alf is like, I don't think we're in freaking cartoon Happy Town anymore. So, because somebody just said a drug's name. And he's right. That's when this whole thing changed. This is not fun time anymore. Oh. So they, Garfield was hiding with some sunglasses on. Michael's leaving. She's following him. Corey, her name's Corey, right?
Yeah, Corey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michael, he's going to score some drugs at the sketch arcade next.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna have to go. We got what a crowd. Pooh doesn't even go, does he? He hangs back.
So.
He
hangs out with
certain characters are like left separately. This is going out the window and down the eastbound and stuff. This all felt very Toy Story like. We're going out the window and things. They take off to town. They go to the video arcade, and there's lots of lights and flashing. That sounds fun. He's smoking pot in the bathroom.
Yeah,
and that's when we get George C. Scott.
Was that the drug ghost?
Smoke.
Oh, I didn't know he had a name.
Well, I don't think they ever say it, but I looked up on the IMDb, and I was like, that is a very recognizable voice. It was George C. Scott.
Yeah, so immediately he's trying to get him to do all these drugs. I think Michael smokes some crack. The Popo shows up.
I don't know if he smokes it, but he thinks long and hard about
it. This is what I guarantee Biden was like, oh, I love this. If you smoke some pot, immediately you will, this is a gateway drug, you will immediately want this crack that this guy holds out. It's like, you got to have some crack. And
but again, like his multi-ethnic group of friends were like, what are you, scared? What are you, chicken? It's no big deal. And then you have George C. Scott on his shoulder saying, yeah, don't you want to be cool? Don't you want to fit in? So it's that very cliched idea of peer pressure and being tempted to the gateway drug to the next thing.
Which, do any of you have any experience with anything like that in real life? I was exposed to drugs in my teen years. Michael, obviously, the real Michael was crazily exposed to drugs. It's like, but never did I have anyone pressuring me like this. Like, oh, you're not cool if you don't. Most people were just like, oh, okay, he doesn't do that. Nobody cared. No, as long as you weren't giving them crap, they weren't giving you crap.
Yeah, pretty much. And on top of that, drugs cost money. And
not in the 80s.
No, they didn't in the 80s. You could get them with
I got news for you. Everybody had drugs. You could buy it for nickels. It was nothing. Everybody. This guy had a bale of hay of it, and it was totally realistic to me. Like drugs were easily accessible and cheap.
Well,
I was. Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying. I'm a little younger, and I do remember. Like, it definitely cost money. And people were aware of that. And if, for some folks, it wasn't just hey, everybody, I have drugs. It was like, hey, you're going to chip in, that type of thing.
Well,
I was never really pressured because I was never at those cool parties. The only time was probably college. My college roommate was from Humboldt, California, which is like the #1 weed capital of the world. So he had some experience. Some of his friends came through on a road trip and they were indulging, and they're like, come on, man, don't you want to be cool? So that was the only time in my life I ever got the pressure to do it. But
so the cops come, you hear sirens and stuff, everybody takes off, and they leave Michael and with smoke, and he runs down an alley, and here comes the shadow.
It's that wascally rabbit.
Yeah, it's Bugs Bunny, who he gets to be himself. He's like a star, He's sure there was a lot of deals about who would be with who and who would have so many lines or things, and he's like, what, giving him heck. about doing this. Like, what are you listening to this Smoke guy for? You know.
And Mel Blanc had just passed away just before this, so this is the first time Bugs and Daffy weren't voiced by Mel Blanc. So this is not the original voice actor, but a new guy trying things out.
Yeah, he's like, "What is this? A joint?" He picks them off the ground. He puts Smoke in the trash can. He's like, "Oh, you think you look cool and everything? Well, we're gonna have to. This is where. Well, what we're gonna do? We're gonna have to travel back in time.
Yeah, it takes.
I have to have a time. I have to have a time. He just pushes a button. It throws. He's like a remote control. He puts a button, throws it up in the air. Umbrella comes out. It falls down, and a time machine expands. No, of course they get in it, and of course Smoke escapes with the trash can and enters the time machine.
The Acme brand delivers. When you push a button, it'll be there.
You never fail. You got.
It did come with an instruction manual. Also, he has to stop and read the instruction manual.
Here's a big moment. Back at breakfast. Old Dad gets in the fridge. Mom's washing dishes. He gets in the fridge and pulls out his crate of beers.
A wooden crate full of
not
beer.
Full.
Not full.
Missing a couple beers.
That's funny. There's a couple of beers missing.
Oh, honey, you probably drank them watching football last night. Who else would take them?
Huh. Well, I'm going to start cleaning out the garage. Call me for lunch.
Then Dad says, call me in for lunch. And I'm like, it's breakfast time. What is he doing with these breakfast beers?
Every dad
crate?
knows you check your beers. When you get up in the morning, you pull your crate out, you count your beers. And then you move on with your day. That's how it goes. And they just play. The mom's like, "Oh, you drunk? You probably drank those watching the game. You didn't even remember it. At least it's not marijuana."
You used mind-altering substances to excess last night, so you're not a great example to your kids.
And that threw me off a little bit too, because I'm watching this cartoon, and even though they'd already said marijuana, I was like, they were just like nonchalant. He's like, "Where's my beer?" And I'm like, "You're in a cartoon."
So Corey's having breakfast with Pooh standing on the table. There's Pooh on the table, and she's eating breakfast.
Put some pants on, Pooh.
Yeah, it's weird. They're traveling around the time machine. They go back and see him as a kid, and Michael has an M on his shirt. So
they all had letters on their shirt.
Yeah. So he knows who he is.
Because apparently he grew up in the 50s, and it's all in black and white. Right.
Yes, it is in black and white. They're throwing stuff around, and he's trying to prove. Oh, you really think it was your idea? No, it was this guy with a T on his shirt. He tried to get you to smoke marijuana. It's that guy with the T. It was him all along.
Mm-hmm.
And it just basically blames not on you. You don't have to. Let's see. Then Smoke. Yeah, the George C. Scott voice is great. Like, I can't believe they got him for this. It was a big freaking deal. When this came out. Do you guys remember watching it? Did you see it?
I do. I didn't, but I remember it coming out and being on. And then I remember as a kid I remember just being like, well, that was incredibly nothing.
I couldn't believe this part here. They're in the time machine and Bugs is talking. And I swear at this point, I remember Bugs saying, "Yeah, drugs make you feel good." And then he blows up Smoke or whatever and into a balloon and he pops, whatever. But that's a pretty big thing to say for Bugs Bunny to tell your kids drugs make you feel good. So that's the message a lot of kids probably got from this.
Yeah.
But that's maybe one step toward the modernization of Reefer Madness and the stuff from years previous where they're just like, if you take one toke, you'll go crazy and jump off the roof, trying to scare you. This was at least a little more honest. They're hey, there's a reason people do this, but it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. So at least it's toward the direction of honesty.
Yeah. Then we get in the garage And the dad picks up, Corey comes in and talks to the dad. The dad picks up a box that says clit on it. I'm 100% sure that's what it says. I don't know what that's about. But anyway,
It looked like the nuclear symbol.
Yeah.
Like he's handling radioactive material.
Or it's a fan. It could be biohazard or a fan.
Dad is pretty sketch. Like, there's no wonder why these kids are doing drugs and stuff.
Yeah, who knows what's going on?
Two different places I saw reading about this said there had been a Playboy magazine on the counter in the garage. Clear as day.
Whoa.
And then they edited it later before the home video release. So whoever animated it put a girly magazine in it too. So they were pushing every limit. And Dad, I don't know. It's a good thing the cartoons are raising these kids because Dad sure can't do a good job.
So Michael's hanging out with the kids and they're like, oh, let's buy some drugs, No, whatever. And then Smoke takes his wallet out and throws it to the girl. And she's like, got your wallet. Because, drugs made her take his wallet and stuff. And they go running down and he's chasing her. And
she has a lead on some $10 crack.
Yeah, I wrote that down. Crack is only $10.
Yes. So he falls in the sewer. Michelangelo moves the lid. He falls down the sewer, and then Smoke runs into the sewer lid. And first thing I thought, instantly, I was like, the party dude.
Yep.
If we're gonna have one turtle in this, it's 100% gonna be the party dude, and also a Michael. And I was just like, he has a lot of nerve to preach anything. He's like, this will get you addicted. I'm going to go eat 100 pizzas.
I thought the same thing about Garfield. He mentioned lasagna twice. It's like, if you can't go a half hour without mentioning lasagna, you got problems too. So all these characters are not squeaky clean.
Yeah, I used to just like spaghetti, but it's a gateway pasta.
Bugs Bunny. He couldn't go a half hour without carrot.
Oh,
he was chewing on that.
It's everywhere. Yeah, Alf, cats. There's got to be more out there. So then they go on like
Tigger.
Tigger.
He is amped up on something.
100%. He's wanting to spit in their eye later. He said. So they go on like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, they fall into the Dungeons and Dragons roller coaster cart.
Yeah,
from the
Smoke
cartoon.
Can barely hang on. They're going like in his body, isn't it? They're like in his body. Look at the drugs, what they did to your brain. And stuff.
Muppet Baby, Kermit, and Piggy are there apparently, and then suddenly we're in the human brain. They say
yes.
And
this is where it gets weird.
This is where it gets weird.
That's now finally it's getting weird. There's a lot of cells and things flying around and lightning and weird things, and Gonzo shows up and he's a painter. It's Painter Gonzo, and then he gets struck by lightning, and then there's like skulls and snakes and all kinds of. It's all just a drug-addled nightmare. They were trying to scare these kids, and I imagine the kids were like, "This is really cool. This is."
I know there had to be a percentage of kids who were like, rock on.
They're like, this is the most metal cartoon I've ever seen. And then they come out of his brain, and Michael's, standing there. He's got his joint and his skateboard. He's blowing smoke, and now it's back in there. It's in his body, and now it's clouding them up. And Kermie and Piggy are coughing, and he's just skateboarding around outside his body. Like, this is the best. So, yeah, maybe it'll mess with your brain, but outside you have the best skate sesh of your life. They can't get out because now he's clouded up with all this. They can't get out the exit, and the smoke's filling up the room of his brain, and outside he's skating, and he's all one-footed. He never pushes. He just floats around on one foot, and he lays down the grass, and he's just like,
he has amazing balance, and then he wakes up. And he's in ductwork.
It's Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're like, get up.
And then they teach him to say no.
What's happening to me?
Are you okay?
Huh? Now I'm seeing ducks.
Oh, man. I gotta get off of these drugs. Drugs? Oh, bad news, Michael. Why don't you just say no?
Well, maybe it's because I don't want to.
Maybe it's because you don't know how. Let's show him how to say no.
Right.
In a song.
We're about to have a song.
Yeah.
And you commented that this was not their best work. Meanwhile, I love this song. It's one of my new favorite songs. It's not just for drugs. It's great for telling anybody no in this hopefully post-COVID era where we could easily say no before because we just say, nope, can't come, it's COVID.
Yeah.
Now I use this song for any situation.
Yeah, it wasn't
So
terrible.
This seems like what the whole show was built around. It feels like this musical number, Wonderful Ways to Say No, featuring the whole cast.
The cartoon all-stars.
Well, you look like three fine lads. You know, I might have something here you'd like to try. Something to make you feel real good.
Is there yet one of that wonderful way to say no? No, sir. No, sir.
Better learn to do and take them wherever you go.
No, sir. No, sir.
If your pals have left you time, here's a practical reply. Go ahead, let's slide. Step right in his eye and say no.
It's so good. It's so catchy. The bridge is great. The whole thing's good. Everybody's singing in it. They're all saying stuff. Kermit's singing it, and Garfield pipes in,
And Jordan,
Tigger's spitting her eye, and chipmunks.
you made the observation that the song was written by Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who are a very famous songwriting duo.
I recognize that name just because I know you've said it many times. So
from
that's somebody I've heard of.
The Disney Renaissance era, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. They wrote all those songs, so that's why I said it wasn't their best work.
I like the part. Yeah. I mean, it's got a bunch of great lines, but and we've got Gonzo. In Berlin, they just say 9, and then Alf busts through the Berlin Wall, and they tell me that works fine. Ha! It's the bottom lines to show your spine and just say no. It's a great song. It's catchy. I dare you not to like it. I said I dare you. Okay, so then let's see.
So by 1990, the Berlin Wall had already been down for a while, hadn't it?
And they're like, we're using it. We're using any Reagan era thing we can. Just say no. We're just bringing it all back. Michelangelo shows back up. He's out of nowhere, starts singing with them. So then Michael wakes up in bed, and he's like, okay, that's it. He gets his drug box out, smokes in there. It's like, what are you doing? It's time to smoke some reefer. Corey pops in with Pooh. She's like, what's going on in here? He's mean. He's a mean druggie. He's just like,
she's like,
holding her wrist and
he's
yanking her around, pushes her against the wall. That's what they tried to tell you, that marijuana is going to make you this dangerous, violent person, which is like tell me a person that you know that smokes pot that is this violent, dangerous person. Right, exactly. Now, it's very contrasted to the times we're in now. It is legal. It is legal in a vast amount of this country. And people are still in prison for it. Yeah. For having done it. And it's not the gateway drug that they play it out to be. This is horrible propaganda, used against, these people. It's racially motivated, whether they want to admit it or not. That crack. There's nothing about cocaine in here, the white drug. It's really a bad mess.
So yeah, there's a lot of egregious things about the drug war. I wouldn't say this cartoon is the worst of it, but I don't know that it was really helpful.
It's the worst we've got tonight. So then Alf reaches through from the inside of the drug box and pulls Michael into the box that he's holding. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Animation. They go through the fun house. And he's like, look, they're looking at. He looks all different sizes, and he looks in the mirror. And he's like, I think I look pretty good. It's like, that's not what you look like. And he's like, shows him what he really looks like. He looks like Michael Jackson from Thriller.
He's a zombie.
And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm green and awful. So they hold hands and walk to a door that says the man in charge. They open up the door, and in there is Smoke.
The drug ghost.
He's sitting in his chair. He spins around like the big boss. Meanwhile, Corey goes into Michael's room, which is now enormous. It's this enormous room. She goes in and gets the drug box off the floor. Yeah. Smoke is there now. He's in that room now. Smoke is everywhere. Comes on, he's like, yeah, why don't you try this, kid?
What's in the box?
Exactly. Pooh's like, uh-oh. Even Winnie the Pooh was like, wait a minute. I haven't been following this story that closely.
Yeah.
But
I think there was an oh bother in there.
Yeah. So
Pooh's like, any honey in there?
Yeah, that's who else.
I could really use a head of honey.
That's another. That's who I was thinking of. There's somebody else with a serious problem.
Yes.
He knows an addiction. So Smoke grabs
I'm good for it.
he hurls him across the room into the cabinet.
I sold my pants for my last hat.
Yeah. I'll stick my head in this tree and let you look my butt if you give me some honey. So she gets in there and she's looking at, really thinking about, she's going to get close to her brother if she does some drugs. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, her brother's in his brain running up a freaking,
he's in
a carnival type place. He's running up a roller coaster while one of the ducks is coming down at him in a roller coaster car, and he's running for his life. He jumps off. There's saw blades, and
he's in a theme park from hell.
Yeah, it's crazy. He hits a saw blade off an inner tube and bounces around, goes into the mouth of a demon thing. Now he's like in its throat. It's just a crazy psychedelic mess.
Yeah, think how cool this would have been if you were high.
I know. This is a perfect thing to get high and watch.
We're not condoning that. We're not condoning that, but that's just something we noticed.
Do it.
Yeah. So he gets in there with fortune teller Daffy, doesn't he?
Yeah, we're getting there. Let's see. He hits an eyeball. He falls down into the classic thing where you fall from a great height and land in a bucket of water. I thought that was a nice touch. He gets flooded with water from there, goes down the drain. He goes down the drain multiple times in this cartoon.
Well, it's his life, man. It's a metaphor.
It's all going down the drain. Yeah, he goes into the fortune teller. Yeah, there's Daffy Duck, which I think this is the new voice guy, and he does a good job with Daffy Duck, better than with Bugs. And that gets out his crystal ball, which is a bowling ball. They point that out. He can't see anything. It's dark. Meanwhile, Corey's going to do the drugs. She's thinking about it. He finally has a crystal ball he gets, and Kermie is talking to Michelangelo. They're all like, we got to go save her. So he dumps the box of drugs out and tells Corey, yanks Corey around again. He's still not nice, but he's like, don't do drugs. We're not doing this. We got to stop this. He takes Smoke, spins him around, throws him out the window into the into the trash truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone, because that's how you get rid of a vapor. You throw it in the garbage. And he's like, we're not doing drugs. And now all the characters are on this big poster on the wall. And Smurfette's there, but not Michelangelo, I think. And that's weird because she wasn't in the cartoon. And then Pooh jumps over and he gets in too. And they decide they hug and they're going to go tell mom and dad.
And that's it.
That's it. And roll credits. And then they play a song that is basically like, when you get older, you're going to forget about us, probably. But don't forget to not take drugs. It's less of a hit, but it's pretty sad. It's just like, you're gonna forget all about us, but please don't forget this great message. Oh, so it's a action packed.
Quite a crossover. 10 different franchises worth of characters here, all in one half-hour package with a positive message for the kids. What more could you want from a crossover?
I don't know. This is like the ultimate crossover as far as I'm concerned. It's like,
Yeah.
you got everybody. You got all those people. It was weird. What more do you? I want weird. I want people interacting with each other that shouldn't. Alf and Garfield. That's a good combo.
I would have been 10 years old when this came out, which would have been the perfect demographic for this. Now, I don't remember. If I did watch it, I don't remember. I don't remember anything about it. So
yeah, I was about to graduate, so I guarantee I wasn't watching this.
But I saw some comments.
I was probably
You were smoking crack somewhere.
smoking some crack. You know.
You've been to the arcade, I know. But I saw several comments, people like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about this," or that kind of. "Oh, we watched this in school," or people remember. So it had an impact. People remember it. It was a blind spot for me.
Yeah, like I said, I know I watched it. But it didn't make a big impression on me one way or the other. I just remember being like, well, that was a big letdown. So, but now I love it. I thought it was great. Like, for our purposes here, I was like, man, this is a great pick. There's so much weird crap that happens. The message is totally off point. Like, it's got a song. It's fabulous.
Yep.
30 years later, fabulous. What we came
Well,
here
we did
for.
it.
Yeah.
Got the Crossroads back in the rotation.
So all you Godzilla and Barkley fans, sorry, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. We thought it was more important to get the train back rolling on these Crossroads. And like I said,
begging for it. We said
there's
no.
there's a lot of segments we haven't gotten to in a while. So this is but one.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly have a long list of stuff we want to do. We're trying to make a dent in some special episodes, those, fun stuff we only have done once in a while. We're trying to get it a little bit more in here lately. So hopefully that's what you came here for, and you learned something. We've inspired you to go watch the cartoon All-Stars, and stay off drugs, kids.
Yeah, and be more tactful telling your own kids what to do and not to do. So
yeah.
Don't rely on corporate characters to be the morals police in your own household, and count your beers every morning.
Right.
Yeah. Wasn't the guy that created Alf like a huge drug guy or something? Yeah. Permanent Midnight, remember that?
I know. I remember reading something not too long ago about him and his he spent years after Alf was canceled trying to revive it and bring it back and all these different versions and stuff. I mean, he really he put all his eggs in one basket with that thing.
Hey, 30 years later feels about right.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we dare pick the next one, or do we do
Are
that?
you sure?
I think we have to.
I gotta go get the damn box of paper.
We already defied Destiny once, so we really have to go. Whatever the ping pongs decide, we really have to go with.
Might take us a while to get there, but we'll see what they say.
I would have bet $5 the ping pong balls were sitting right beside him on the deck.
I thought he would have them ready. He's not prepared tonight. He didn't have enough. Didn't have enough costumes picked out. He doesn't have his ping pong balls ready. Slipping. I think he's probably counting his beers right now.
He's got to empty that crate to make room for more ping pong balls.
That's right.
You Ready?
Oh, that sound just warms my heart. And the next episode of Crossroads will be...
Since when do we do exactly what I pull out the first time? Okay, I pulled out Magnum and Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, no.
Okay.
If that's streaming anywhere, we will try and track it down.
If it's out there, we can track it down.
I bet it's out there somewhere. I bet it's like I don't even remember, but I bet it's like an episode of each or something. I guarantee it's 2 freaking episodes.
Okay, so what hit movie will be a ripoff of this? Knives Out will be.
Magnum and Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for indulging us in this. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy these pop culture crossovers as much as we do. We will be back shortly with more from Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I got to go count my my beers after this. I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm not going to say that. Goodbye, forever. I'm going to go with that.
I watched the first episode of that MODOK.
Feeling good.
You mentioned it.
Yeah, I watched 3 today.
Yeah, I watched the first couple.
I didn't even know it was out till you mentioned it, but I just watched it tonight while I ate supper. It's got a robot chicken feel to it.
Yeah.
I love that you say supper. I love that you say supper because when I was growing up, it was also called supper. But I've had it pounded in my brain ever since then. Everyone else in the world calls it dinner. Now Jordan still calls it supper, and I think that's what I grew up on. It was supper.
We don't have no fancy dinners out in Lower Salem.
Well, I used to have that argument with Alicia that way back in the day because she said dinner is lunch. And I said, that's insane. Dinner is dinner. And she would say, no, dinner is lunch. Supper is dinner. And I'm like,
I agree. If you'd asked me when I was at home, I'd agreed totally with her. I'd have been like, okay, I'm not sure what dinner is, but it ain't supper. But everyone else was calling it freaking dinner. And then, I just was totally brainwashed since then. But every time Jordan says it, I'm like, yeah, why am I not still calling it supper? Because that's more, there's no doubt what supper is. That's supper.
See,
when
she used to say it, I was...
There's slurping involved.
When she would say supper, I'm like, what are you talking about?
You sit down to supper. You're like, all right, there's a plate and there's some utensils. It's like, let's sup, everybody. What's up? Supper. That's what's up.
Nonsense.
Flip had a good point.
Look, if I'm watching a cartoon while I'm eating, it's supper. It ain't dinner.
I think supper sounds fancier. Supper sounds like serious.
The Last Supper.
There's no doubt. Exactly. It wasn't the last dinner.
Right.
See, that was the last one. Then they switched to dinner.
Yeah. So that was it. So quit calling it that because that was the Last Supper.
Jesus
let's chill out, watch some cartoons, and have dinner.
Jesus died for your dinner. And
I think it was supper. You have supper when you watch cartoons because that's when they were all on one side of the table so they could see the TV. So, Michael, you are or are not here?
He's here. He was just pooping.
Oh. I thought it looked like he lost some of his roots.
He's just putting his ears in now.
Can't figure out what I did with my earbud. I put it back in my phone case or whatever. I'm going to have to...
In somebody's yard.
Yeah. It's in my... yeah. I'm going to have to miss the Crossroad episode.
Oh, I'm so disappointed.
Oh. You'll hear all about Michael, the druggie.
Yeah. I don't need to relive my life, my childhood again. But you guys have fun with that.
Do you have any comments you want us to...
anything you want us to bring up?
Yes.
Dear God, why did his name have to be Michael?
Yeah.
You just say it now and Cliff can add it in later. So whatever you want to say it.
Also, I'm pretty sure all the animators were on drugs while they made this. It's the only way this makes sense at all.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so many things wrong with this. That's just on so many different levels.
Okay.
So you guys have fun.
All right. We'll
Wait,
see.
what drugs have you done? Is that something you might ask? That might come up. What drugs have you done,
Yeah.
Michael?
I've done.
He's done them all.
I will. Goodbye.
See you in 2 weeks.
Wow.
God bless him.
Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.